We'll be here all the time. Not this year's. No. Alrighty. Go ahead and call this evening's meeting to order. Welcome everybody to the regular council meeting for August 2025. Please note that the council chambers have reopened to the public. The meetings will continue to be live streamed and available for public viewing on YouTube. As part of the virtual public participation, if you have any questions regarding items on the agenda, please submit them by email to Deputy Clerk, all one word, at ektwp.ca. Questions received prior to the meeting will be addressed during the public question period, which is limited to 15 minutes. We begin this regular council meeting by acknowledging that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin First People. We do so respecting both the land and the Indigenous people who continue to walk with us through this world. Before I call for the adoption of the agenda, I'll just do a brief roll call here. We have a full house around the council table. So we've got councillors Downey, Osterhoff, Renault, Edie, Smith, and Brayton. Of course, I'm Mayor Burrow, and we're joined by a number of staff members here from our senior management team, and we have a few members of the public here as well. So quite a full house and a number of topics to cover. So I'll get into the business of the evening. First item is the adoption of the agenda. The motion is that the regular meeting of council agenda dated August 11th, 2025 be adopted as amended. Could I have a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Edie, seconded by Councillor Brayton. All those in favor? That carries. Thank you. Does any member have a pecuniary interest with regards to any item on tonight's agenda? And if so, what is the general nature? Okay, hearing and seeing none, we'll move on then to the adoption of the minutes from our last regular council meeting. Could I have a mover and seconder for that, please? Moved by Councillor Renault, seconded by Councillor Smith, that the regular meeting of council minutes dated July 14th, 2025 be adopted. Any questions, corrections, or concerns? Councillor Osterhoff.
Just a question. At the end of the minutes, there's a public question period, and we had a member from the gallery make a suggestion. Is there any way what's the follow-up from that? It's a dead in the water. Like it's a suggestion. Does that mean some council member should rise to the occasion and do something about that, or?
It depends, I think, on the nature of the issue. I'll turn to our CAO. The staff may already sort of picked up the ball and started running with it, but I'm not sure. But Mr. CAO?
Through your worship, no, staff were really waiting to see whether this was a direction the council.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
So my question is, can we make that a direction from council, or do we have to have a motion, notice a motion or something? What's the proper way to kick that into gear?
Yeah, I guess the proper way to do it would be to give a notice of motion, bring the motion forward. And unless our CAO is comfortable with direction. So for instance, at the time, we could have picked up on it live then,
Yeah.
and probably just handle it as direction to staff. Given that that's not necessarily the case, how would you feel about being given direction out of the minutes, or do you want a formal motion, Mr.
Your worship, I think we're probably I think it's something that really makes sense for us to do. So yes, I think just if council want us to take this forward, we will look to bring a report back in the future.
Yep. Also comfortable with that? Yep. Okay. I'm seeing some consensus. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or corrections for that set of minutes? Okay. Seeing none. All those in favor then? That carries. Thank you. Okay. We do have a couple of delegations with us this evening. We're joined on screen by a couple of people regarding the 401 project. We anticipate that may not be a short presentation. We also have another delegation we do think is going to be relatively short. So to Greg and David, would you mind yielding 10 or 15 minutes so that we can get a community delegation out of the way, and then we can give you our attention for a longer period of time? Would that be okay?
Sure, that'd be great. No problem. Yep.
Okay, great. Appreciate that. Thanks. All right. In which case, we'll call Dwayne Laurent to the podium. I understand that he has a request for council with respect to the Blaine Healy Ballpark and a tournament that's coming up there. So, Dwayne, the podium is yours.
Thank you very much. I'll leave Twitch out and explain basically what we're trying to do. We run a tournament every year. Labor Day weekend this year, we would like to take the profits from the tournament and turn around and put them back into the ballpark to build dugouts like that were built up top. Build the same thing down below to provide dugouts for the lower diamond of the park.
Essentially, Adrenaline Apparel, we run charity tournaments twice a year typically. And we always give back to the community. Our other business partner, who is being shy, sitting at the back, runs a construction company, HD Roofing, in town, so he would be volunteering his monies through as well. And volunteering, of course, us from Adrenaline. Everybody that knows that plays ball in Bellamy Park knows that the upper diamonds now have really nice dugouts. But anybody that's playing on the lower diamonds is exposed to all of the weather and conditions throughout. So we wanted to ask the council's permission to be able to build the dugouts similar to the ones that are on the upper level. So that we have consistency for both the diamonds that are being utilized within the community and giving back to the ball community this year. We've been supporting this now for nine tournaments since the started.
Okay. Just so that you know, normally we don't make a decision on a topic on the same night as a presentation. So quite likely, I'm assuming that council is going to have an appetite for this. So quite likely this will end up referred back to staff for a report to come forward, maybe for our next council meeting. This seems like a fairly straightforward request. And we have a couple of weeks, if not more, the way that the summer schedule is tumbling. So I would hope that this is something that we could bring back to the next council meeting. Interestingly enough, that will be after your tournament has taken place. So that's one of the reasons that I accepted the last minute request. So this at least gets out ahead of your tournament. And so we don't end up doing things out of order. So with that, I'll open it up to council if we have any questions for the presenters. Go ahead, Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you for your presentation, and I do support your idea. As the mayor stated, going through staff, so I'm sure you'll be working with our building officials in regards to the dugouts and the design and everything else. And being volunteer labor intensive, I'm sure that volunteers will be out there. Like, we have other projects in this township goes on with volunteers as well, and I congratulate people who do volunteer. So kudos to you and congratulations on running a successful tournament and raising money for the park and putting it back in the park. Because that's what, in my opinion, that's what it should be for. And so thank you, and I'm looking forward to another report come back on how we can go about doing that.
Thank you. Good. Councillor Ostrov.
Thank you. Is this like a 2-3 year project? Like, how much does a dugout cost? One, and you probably need two, one for each side and for each team.
Yeah.
But what do you think is the cost of a dugout
Roughly 4 to 6.
for one? Okay, and how much money would you raise in a tournament? Like, I'm just curious, are you thinking of doing it this year yet or next year?
The plan would be is that we'd use all the proceeds and then the rest would be through our corporate. But HD would cover the remainder of it, assuming it falls within the total budget area. Most of our tournaments can raise anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000, depending on how many teams we have. Right now, we have
And we're at 20.
20 teams, yeah. So it's a pretty good sized tournament, which will be drawing teams from Gatineau, Ottawa, Kingston, Smith Falls, Cornwall. So we draw them in from quite a ways because we always give back to the community on these.
We generally run 2 a year, usually the May long weekend, and then the September long weekend is when we run our tournaments.
Can somebody go watch some?
You can come anytime you want.
I've played and watched baseball since I was a kid, other than the Blue Jays, but I mean, but it happens all the time.
Yeah, there's tournaments there pretty well every weekend, if not every other weekend.
If we're not running the charity ones, we have teams that we're running them for. So we just had one a couple weeks ago.
We're playing there this weekend as well.
So I see a couple of other hands go up, but I'm just going to follow up on the timeline because I know that the Councillor Osterhoff was curious about that. I'm going to guess that if everything lines up nicely, and you can get it done and we can get it done this year, great. Otherwise, you will be satisfied to do it, first thing in the upcoming construction season next year. So I don't think it's a 2 or 3 year project is what I'm hearing.
No, we.
With approval, we should be able to complete it this year.
Okay, we're on the same page.
Okay, great, thanks. So I saw Councillor Downey and then Councillor Brown. Go ahead, Councillor Downey.
Well, I'm definitely in support of this and kind of surprised because basically we don't really get this sort of offer very often. It's usually the other way around. So we just developed a contractor volunteer policy, so that might just fit right in the mold here because it's almost exactly what you're proposing. So I definitely would support it.
Yeah, I agree. So one of the things that we discussed, for your benefit, when we were looking at the volunteer policy was around people who are trained to use power tools and that type of thing. So what we specifically did was we explicitly excluded in-kind donations by contractors so that, their own insurance and that type of thing would cover that work and our policy didn't have to worry about it. So it dovetails very nicely.
Our work is planned to be done using our other business partners.
Yeah.
Who is insured and
Licensed
also
insured.
a resident of.
Yes.
community as well.
Yeah, that
This
fits
business
perfectly.
is a-
All right, Councillor Renault.
Yes, I'm definitely in support of it, as Blaine Healy Park was built with volunteers as well was the campground built by volunteers. So it's great to see it continuing many years after it was started. And I'm wondering why we can't make a decision.
And we love that village, by the way, as tall players. It was a great addition.
So I think, did I see your hand as well? Okay, just before I get to you, Councillor Brayton. So I know that was a bit of a rhetorical question, but the reason we can't make a decision tonight is for the very motion that you introduced.
Yeah, I know.
I
I did.
Lest anybody forget. Councillor Brayton.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to see. I agree with what the lads are doing. It's good to see we have had people are running tournaments. They weren't putting too much back into the community. They were putting it in their pockets. So I'm glad to see these lads putting it back into the community. My son, not this past weekend, but the weekend last week ago, he was down in Minnesota playing for the national softball association for the states. They phoned him up and he was down there and he played. He's going to Texas, Arizona in the fall. So what you're doing does come to fruition for some people. So like, it's not all for nothing. So I want to thank you for doing what you're doing. Thanks.
Hey, anybody else? Okay, to our CEO.
Thank you, Your Worship. The original request, when it came through from the gentleman, and maybe you can say what this was still your intention, was to ask for a waiver of the fees.
Oh, yes.
There's $150 fee to book the parking. Are you still hoping to get that, or are you going to?
I talked about it with Jennifer,
Mhm.
saying that, if she would be willing, if the township would be willing to help out on that weekend. If not, it's not gonna be good, we would cover the fees. It's just another way of us to be able to raise a little more money.
It's a decision of council if they want to waive their fees, so it's something that you could decide tonight if that's what you would like to.
All right, thank you for that. Councillor Smith.
Through you, through CEO, presenter, thank you for bringing that up. People donate money back, there's no reason why we don't waive those fees. These gentlemen, this group is offering thousands of dollars towards an asset for our parks, and there's no reason why we don't.
Okay, did I see a hand over here? I thought I did. Okay, so I imagine that would take a motion. Okay, fair enough. So I'd certainly entertain that. Okay, moved by Councillor Smith, second by Councillor Ely. To waive the fees for the upcoming ball tournament on the Labor Day weekend. All those in favor? And that carries. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And I mean that sincerely on behalf of the council and the township. Will be nice to see some enhancements to that part for sure.
Thank you.
Thanks for all you do.
Thank you for having us. Thank you very much for your time.
Alrighty, that brings us to our second delegation, item 5.2. Now we're joined by the gentleman on screen from Stantec regarding Highway 401 planning study presentation. And so I'll turn the virtual podium over to you gentlemen.
Thank you, Mayor Burrows, council and staff. Greg and I really appreciate the opportunity to come speak to council tonight to provide you an update on the 401 planning study that we initiated back in 2024. As you may recall, Greg and I presented to council back in September of 2024. We introduced the project or study to you, and we're here to provide you an update on where we've landed from a technically preferred position on the two sites and the widening opportunity. So with that, I'll leave with Greg, and then we'll take questions as they come through.
Okay, thanks, David. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yep,
Yes.
we're good.
Okay, perfect. We'll fire away. Okay, so yeah, as David mentioned, we're here to talk about the Highway 401 planning study just east of Brockville. The agenda today or tonight is to just provide a little bit of background about the study purpose and process, present the evaluation of alternatives that we presented at PIC 1, and present the technically preferred plan. Then just quickly provide an overview of the consultation and the schedule, and then have some time for questions. So I will go through quite quickly on some of the background information. Happy to slow down if we have questions about the technically preferred plan when we get there. Okay, so first of all, just a reminder of the purpose of the study. So the Ministry of Transportation has retained Stantec to undertake a planning, preliminary design, and class environmental assessment study for Highway 401 just east of Brockville. The study limits are from about 0.75 kilometers east of North Augusta Road, easterly to 3.3 kilometers west of Maitland Road. So it's approximately 2.6 kilometer long study area within the Township of Elizabethtown-Kitley. And the purpose of the study is to identify a recommended plan that addresses replacement or rehabilitation of two structures. So there's the Sharps Lane Bridge and the Butler Creek Culvert, which is a significant structural culvert, and to identify the future Highway 401 footprint, looking at 6 lanes and 8 lanes. So the structures will be designed for a 75-year lifespan. They are the kind of the driver of the study, but we also need to look at Highway 401 so that we can design those structures appropriately. Just a little bit of background information about some of the adjacent studies that have been completed. So just to the west of this study area, there was a Highway 401 planning study completed through Brockville. And then to the east of the study limits, there's another study that was completed between Highway 16 and Maitland Road. So we're essentially kind of matching into those two study areas. So this slide just shows an aerial photograph of the study area. I realize it's probably small to see on your screen. Two significant features within the study area: the Butler Creek Culvert here in the Sharps Lane underpass. So those are the two main structures that we're looking at. And then we're also looking at the Highway 401 footprint within the study limits. So we're following the requirements of the class environmental assessment for provincial transportation facilities and municipal expressways. So this is an approved process for highway planning, design, and construction projects. And at the end of this study, the study will be documented in a transportation environmental study report that will be published and made available for a 30-day comment period at the end of the study. So as part of the study, we're completing several environmental investigations and studies. I won't go through them all. But But the purpose of these background studies are to establish the existing conditions that will then be used as a basis for the evaluation of alternatives and also to help identify mitigation opportunities. So as part of the EA study, we define problem and opportunity statements, and these are very similar to the study purpose, but these statements really help us define or establish the framework for the study. So first of all, the problems with the problems within the study area are the two structures, mainly the Sharps Lane Bridge and the Butler Creek culverts are nearing the end of their service life and will require rehabilitation or replacement in the near future. And then alongside that, the existing Highway 401 platform typically cannot accommodate traffic staging required to do the rehabilitations or replacements. So the opportunities and what we're really focusing in on are to develop appropriate rehabilitation or replacement strategies in order to maintain the safe operation of the highway corridor for the current and future planning horizons. And as I previously mentioned, to identify the ultimate footprint for Highway 401 to address current and future transportation needs. So now we'll talk a little bit about the evaluation of alternatives in the technically preferred plan. So we presented this information at PIC1 and in our previous council presentation, but this is just a summary of the evaluation criteria that we look at when we evaluate alternatives. So this is specific to this project. It fall under kind of three broad categories: an engineering category, a social and cultural environment category, and natural environment. So we really assess the alternatives against each of these categories and the criteria that fall under these categories. So just focusing on the Sharps Lane Bridge on this slide. So you may recall back at PIC1, we presented essentially three alternatives to replace this structure. So alternative one, shown on the top left here, is to replace on existing. And then under this alternative, we had two sub options, and that would be to close the bridge with a detour to facilitate construction, so full closure. And then we also looked at a partial closure or stage construction, so maintaining a single lane of traffic. Then we looked at a new alignment to the west of the existing structure and a new alignment to the east of the existing structure. So we evaluated these alternatives based on the criteria that presented on the last slide. And we've identified replacement on the existing alignment with maintaining a single lane of traffic during construction as the technically preferred plan. So this alignment essentially follows the existing alignment. So it maintains the existing alignment, maintains access across Highway 401 during construction, minimizes property impacts, minimizes temporary impacts due to closures, and it has the fewest environmental impacts. So this is just what the preferred, technically preferred plan at Sharps Lane looks like in a little more detail. So again, we have the maintaining the existing alignment. There's a slight shift in the alignment just to accommodate the stage construction of the bridge. So this bridge would need to be demolished, or half would need to be demolished, and then single lane of traffic would use the remaining half. And then the half of the new bridge would be constructed beside it, and then traffic would be shifted over to half of the new bridge, again, single lane traffic. And then the remainder of the bridge would be demolished, and then the remainder of the new bridge would be constructed and then open to two-way traffic. So some minor impacts or property impacts in the southeast quadrant. This is property that's owned by MNRF. but just due to the slight shift in the alignment here and the grade raise shown on the profile. So the black line here shows the existing ground over Highway 401, and the red line shows what the new profile will look like. And so the new bridge will need to be raised about a meter to accommodate longer and deeper spans. So because of that grade raise, there's some grading that will spill onto that adjacent property. And then in the bottom left is a cross section of what the bridge will look like. So we'll have two 3.5 meter wide lanes and two 1.85 meter wide shoulders. So that's about 1.5 meters wider than the existing structure. Okay, moving on to the Highway 401 cross section. So again, you may recall at PIC 1, we presented two widening alternatives. So the top alternative shows widening all to the outside. So essentially just tacking on the new lanes to the adjacent to the existing lanes. And then we also looked at squeezing down the median a little bit more and doing a little bit of inside widening and outside widening to try and minimize property impacts. Again, we completed an evaluation and determined that the alternative 1 is preferred, mostly because it's a much simpler construction and lowers cost, minimizes impacts to traffic during construction. And it can maintain the existing median, barrier, and storm sewer system. Okay, we're also looking at drainage improvements, mostly the Butler Creek culvert, which is a significant structure. Again, we looked at 3 alternatives here: replace the culvert to accommodate 6 laning and 8 laning. We also looked at rehabilitating that culvert with retaining walls to accommodate widening. And we looked at rehabilitating with extensions. But again, based on the evaluation, we've identified replacing the culvert, a new longer culvert is the technically preferred plan. And the next slide shows this in a little bit more detail. So the existing culvert is here and maybe a little bit hard to see. The new culvert will be constructed immediately east of the existing culvert. The new culvert is a little bit bigger and a little bit longer. There are some property impacts here on either side of the highway, north side and south side, to accommodate the widening. But essentially the property impacts are kind of localized to this culvert location. This next slide, again, it may be hard to see. Probably best to pull this up on the project website when you have a minute. You can download a PDF and zoom in to see this in more detail. But this shows the technically preferred plan in its entirety, all of the components, including the Butler Creek culvert replacement and the Sharps Lane bridge replacement. It also shows the widening of Highway 401 within the study limits. It shows the profile down below. There are some minor improvements on the existing profile, which aligns with these areas shown in red. So the areas shown in red show where there's some profile improvements, and then the areas in between just show the widening on the outside. There's also some noise barrier kind of at the west end of the limits that will need to be removed and replaced to accommodate the widening. And then it also shows some of the other minor culverts that will be replaced. Okay, construction, staging, and traffic management. So mostly during the Sharps Lane work, the existing bridge, as I mentioned, will need to be demolished in 2 phases. The west half first and then the east half. But Highway 401 will need to be closed when that bridge is demolished. Typically, that can be done overnight. It takes about 12 to 14 hours typically to demolish a bridge and drop it onto the highway and then clean it up. During that time, the EDR will be used as a detour. So using North Augusta Road, County Road 2, and Maitland Road. So again, that would be, an overnight closure to demolish half the bridge. There might be some overnight closures to install new girders, but then definitely another overnight closure to demolish the other half of the bridge. So, there could be a couple of nights during the construction where 401 would need to be closed. But, this is what we're proposing, and final detour routes will be confirmed in consultation with the municipality. Okay, this is a more general slide that talks about designation and MTO permit control areas. So this is just a little bit of housekeeping and reminders to what the ministry's jurisdiction is adjacent to the highways. So what this slide shows is the black lines are existing MTO right-of-way. And then the yellow line shows is a 45-meter offset that shows where the MTO has jurisdiction. So anything within this yellow requires a permit from MTO. So that the yellow kind of applies to the linear Highway 401. And then at interchange locations, it's about 395 meters from the center point of the intersection of the interchange is where that control limit applies. So those are the kind of the general rules for needing a permit adjacent to the MTO corridor. Permits are required within the 45 meters or 395 meters at an interchange. And then there may be additional approvals for anything up to 800 meters from the highway property. So that's a more general slide, and then kind of more specifically in our study area where this comes into play. Again, some property impacts at the Butler Creek area. So again, the black lines are the existing right-of-way. Red is new property limits. So these are areas where property will need to be acquired or purchased. And then that permit control area shown in yellow essentially remains unchanged, but it would kind of jog out to align with those new property acquisitions at Butler Creek, sorry. And then similarly at Sharps Lane, again, this little bit of property in the southeast quadrant, and then this linear piece on the north side. Again, the permit control area shown in yellow, and then that would be adjusted slightly where this property acquisition is required. Okay, so we're working, we've identified a technically preferred plan, and we're looking at potential impacts and proposed mitigation. So we're in the process of working through that as we speak. So there will be impacts. Typically, what we're looking at is, archaeological and potential heritage resource impacts, property impacts, noise impacts, traffic operations impacts, and natural environment impacts. So under each of those categories, we're looking at what the impacts are or potentially could be, and what mitigation will be required as we progress on the design of the technically preferred plan. And then quickly just provide an overview of the consultation program. So these are the formal points of contact as part of the study. So there's been public notices. There's a website, as I mentioned, that's a good place to look for a PDF of the technically preferred plan. There's been 2 public information centers, both online. There's been Indigenous community engagement, council presentations. There has been a municipal technical advisory committee consisting of 2 meetings, and we've had some consultation with external agencies. And then, as I mentioned, the study will be, the formal point of consultation will be the Transportation Environmental Study Report. And then this is just a list of stakeholders and partners that have been engaged throughout the study so far. So I won't go through all of these, but just to give you an idea of who we've been consulting with. Then we'll just wrap up with the schedule, just kind of high level of key milestone dates. So yeah, this study started back in April 2024. We had our PIC 1 in October 2024. We had a technical advisory committee meeting in July. This is where we are now, Public Information Center number 2 online. So that has been online since July 17th and will continue to be available or open for comments until August 30th. The information will still be there after that, but the official kind of public comment period is until August 30th. And we've extended that a little bit. Normally it's a 4-week period, but we extended that out just due to summer holidays. And then the target is to publish the Transportation Environmental Study Report later this year. So again, just a reminder, the PIC is available online at this website, Highway 401 east of Brockville.ca until August 30th. And yeah, really the focus is to display and seek input on that, the evaluation of the alternatives that we presented in the technically preferred plan, and then the proposed protection and mitigation measures and next steps. So that concludes our formal presentation. I don't know, David, do you have anything else to add there?
No, I guess just as a reminder, this really is a long-term planning study. The Sharps Lane Bridge was rehabbed back in 2017, so it has extended the service life of that bridge for another sort of 10 to 15 years from this point. So really this was the ministry sort of closing a small gap between 2 existing studies on either side of this study area, as well as trying to confirm sort of the footprint that we would need for these 2 structures. So it really is a long-term planning study. Don't anticipate to see property acquisition or see any construction at these 2 sites for at least 5 to 10 years, and even then it could be longer depending how these bridges stand up over time. So the ministry has a lot of bridges on the 401. This section was built back in the late 50s, 60s, so a lot of the bridges in this area are coming up for replacement. So we're prioritizing replacements based on the current conditions. So with Sharps Lane being in really good, already pretty good condition right now since that rehab, and Butler Creek being in good condition, I don't expect to see work done here for at least 10 years. And the widening, that's probably a little bit different question as well. I think everyone always asks about widening and maybe when you might see the 401 expanded. Really that, we'll provide our input, and we have some traffic modeling from this study as well as the study to the east and west that would suggest it should happen in the next maybe 10 to 15 years. But really that will come down to priorities, and it's a significant expenditures of public resources to widen the highway. So we'll work with the government and help them prioritize where they should widen the 401 in Eastern Ontario. But I think we're well away for this section anyways. That's all I had. If there's any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. So I see at least one hand going up. Councillor Renault.
Well, he did answer one of the questions I had, but the other one is you said something about removing the noise barrier for whenever you do the widening. Would you then replace that, put it back up again when you're done?
Yes,
Yeah,
that would be,
yeah.
so that's just relocating it. Yeah. So, yep.
Oh, okay. Good enough.
Anybody else? Councillor Downey.
On page 19 of 28, designation and MTO permit control areas. So that's just an example of like all intersections that the MTO owns, and it shows you how big of a radius that they're in control of. Or
Yep. That's pretty much it. The ministry, I think we've come to realize that we need to do a better job of explaining to property owners and municipalities on the ministry's ability to control development in and around highways. So some of these are relatively newer slides that have shown up in this first PIC. It might be the first PIC maybe that we've done it for, or maybe the second, I guess. or where we're trying to explain to the public that if you own property, or into municipality, if you own property in and around the interchanges or along the highway corridor, the ministry does have permit control areas for building of anything. So you're best to reach out. There's a link in that board if you have any more information related to corridor improvements and corridor sort of control that we do. So, but that slide is a general. That's not Stewart or North Augusta or Maitland. That's just a generic interchange showing you the general permit control areas at an interchange.
Okay, anybody else?
Here's a question.
Councillor Smith?
On that same page, what's the acronym of a CAH?
Controlled access highway. So a 400 series highway, like the 401, is considered a controlled access highway. So we control access at interchanges, where if you're on a King's highway, like say Highway 7 or Highway 138 or Highway 137, you'd see intersections as opposed to interchanges. So at a controlled access highway, we control access to, and they're only accessible at interchanges.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? I just have one comment slash question. It's with regards to the fact that, and I'm comparing this to our experience with Halleck's Road. And I'm not sure, I don't think your firm was involved with the Halleck's Road project, was it? I think it was a different team.
I wasn't the project manager. I'm familiar with the team. You're right. It wasn't Stantec, and it wasn't Stantec who oversaw that study.
Okay, well,
yep.
So our experience with that one was that all the alternatives that we tried to explore so that we didn't have to endure 8 or 15 months of full road closure of Alex Road were deemed to be impractical. And so in the end, now the province did step up and they did what they could to help mitigate the effects of closing that road for what ended up being 8 or 9 months. So kudos to them. I don't have any complaints about that, but I was surprised almost to the level of being shocked that you were able to do a single lane build of a much wider span in this case. And so I'm just trying to reconcile, how is it that new techniques have come to the fore, or why is it that you can do that here, we couldn't do that there? And I have a particular interest in this because that southeast quadrant property is where I live. So I lived through the bridge rehabilitation. I'm intimately familiar with the effects this is going to have.
So I may not be intimately familiar with that Halleck's Road, but my understanding is, is that the type of bridge we have at Sharps Lane is conducive to actually being cut in half, that it's structurally sound, even if you cut it in half, where I believe the structure at Halleck's Road was a type of post-tension structure that you couldn't cut it in half. It had to be taken down and all in one piece because it became structurally unstable once you started to remove it. So I think we're just in a better position with this type of existing structure design here at Sharps Lane that it allowed us to cut this type of bridge in half. And I don't believe they had that opportunity at Halleck's Road. So.
Okay, well, I know that our chief and our EMS crews and so on will be thankful that that their access to those areas is not going to be negatively impacted to any great degree. I'm certainly very thankful.
And we did speak with the quarry owners through emails on the south side of the highway. I think they had some concerns with the long-term closure of Sharps Lane as well for some of their haul routes, things like that. So yeah, I'm happy that we could get to a solution that seems to work for everybody.
All right, and I won't tie up time here, but just to put a little blip on your radar, I do have a couple of property-specific concerns with the new grade of the road and the grade of the driveway, simply because I'm already on a steep slope as it is, and delivery trucks have a hard time getting under the hydro wires onto my driveway as it is. So any additional grade is going to create some issues with the height. That's a specific property thing, so I'll contact you more offline about that.
Yeah, certainly we can work through that. Hopefully, yeah, for sure.
They'll probably buy your property then.
No, my property is well outside the influence zone. Otherwise, I would have declared a pecuniary interest for this and left it expropriated.
Yeah.
All right. So, any other questions at this time? Okay. Well, thank you for your presentation, gentlemen. Appreciate that, and looking forward to the day when we actually see the highway expanded.
Well, thanks again for making the time.
Okay. Enjoy your evening.
You too.
Great. Thanks. Have a good evening.
Yeah. Yep. I was just thinking that very thing. I hope I'm actually around to see it. Alrighty, so that finishes with delegations. So we move into staff reports. The first item here is 6.1.1, report A 25-47 regarding alternative voting services. The motion is that report A-25-47, alternative voting services for 2026 municipal election be received. And the council directs staff to participate with other area municipalities in a joint procurement process for alternative voting services. Could I get a mover and seconder for that, please? Moved by Councillor Osterhoff, seconded by Councillor Dion. Does staff have anything they wish to add before we discuss?
It's time for.
Okay, all right, so I'll open the floor for discussion, if any. Councillor Renaud?
I'm just wondering what they're thinking for alternative voting.
I believe that's the paper and the electronic, and as we've done for the last several, and I think there's been a group regional procurement of that service, but to our deputy clerk.
That pretty much sums it up, sir. They have done a joint procurement process the last couple of elections, and at the recent clerk meeting, it was brought to my attention that they were gonna start the process. So this is just the first of very many election reports to come.
Yep. All right, anybody else? Okay, so I guess yes, okay, the operative clause actually provides the direction, so go ahead and call the question then. All those in favor? That carries, thank you. On to 6.1.2, up there. And that is a report regarding the option of annual refreshment vehicle licensing. The motion is that report A-25-48, annual mobile food vehicle licensing be received, and the council approves to continue with issuing seasonal licenses. That's the suggested motion. We'll move seconder to get that on the floor, please. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Bray. Again, anything to add? Madam Deputy?
Not, it's not.
Okay, all right, discussion, Councillor Smith.
To your worship, I think we discussed this on the idea that a mobile food vehicle may want to operate year round, not seasonal. And one of the discussions we had was, so maybe we should put in a yearly cost. If I'm reading this right, we have 2 seasons, summer, fall, winter, spring. At the same cost, I believe.
Yes.
All I'm saying is that if it was a vendor that was doing year round, could be a little less than the 6-month deal. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, and I guess the report lays out a rationale whereby I think the reason the recommendation came forward the way it did is that there's a certain amount of work that's required, 1 inspection per season. And so if you do it based on a level of effort rationale, it's difficult to justify reducing the cost since there'll be twice as many inspections and that type of thing. So certainly for council to decide, but I think that's why the report was structured the way it was. And in addition, of course, we have a table of regional comparators so that we know, what our neighboring municipalities are doing as well. So there's a bit of tension there between the rationale presented in the report and it seems, the baseline of what many other municipalities do and what they charge. So that's what council has to resolve. Anybody else? Councilor Renaud?
Well, I'm noticing that all the other municipalities, it's the annual. You don't see any of them that are seasonal. But the recommendation that we have is, if I'm not mistaken, was for it to remain the same as we are now, seasonal. And their annual fees are higher, but not, unless you're in the town, not exorbitantly high. For one, if it was an annual, I would still want them to have 2 inspections. I wouldn't think it would be right when we have the 1.
I think that's actually required.
Yes, through your worship, and I think fire chief can probably speak to this in more detail, but the report outlines that the fire department does really require to be going in at least every 6 months in order to do their proper inspections. So having a semi-annual license allows for the fire department to be going in when they are actually putting a license forward. They'll go and do their inspections to make sure that they're complying.
Yeah, so this is as much about a control mechanism for that process as anything else. Great. Councillor Downey?
Does the health unit have anything to do with that? Or is it just the fire department that is triggered every time they get a permit?
Your worship, yes, the health unit has to go and inspect them, although I believe theirs is an annual inspection.
That's a separate permit that they have to get.
Yes.
Okay, anybody else? Councilor Ralph?
It's only annual? The health unit? It's not every month? I know. Whoa. I don't think I'll need to go church.
Okay, anything else? So when I took a look at now I didn't do a deep dive into a bunch of statistical math and so on, but I noticed that, you know, even at our 375, we're fairly close, or even in some cases higher than annual charges. I take to heart the implications of the mechanism, the fact that by leaving it as seasonal and having to apply for the second permit of the season, it automatically makes tracking that second inspection easy and it's not likely to fall through the cracks. Personally, I would have an appetite for some kind of a mechanism that gives a discount on the second consecutive season. So it's essentially achieving an annual rate that is less than twice 2 seasons, if you know what I mean. So if somebody is operating only a spring and summer, fair enough, they pay the 375. If somebody is essentially operating year round, the mechanics may involve renewing that license for another season. But in terms of the actual cost, compared to many municipalities in the area, I personally would be willing to entertain a bit of a discount on that second renewal of the license, but that's me. Anything, Mr. CEO?
Just so I can clarify, so you would assume that summer season would be the higher rates where, because more people are going to be out, whereas a winter rate could be reduced to some other amount, so that they're in total they're still applying for 2 seasons, but they're getting a reduction in the winter because they're obviously busy.
Yeah, sure. That or just simply the second consecutive renewal. All right. So even if somebody started operating in the winter, like in the fall winter, whatever is like, I don't want to make it complicated for staff. So sure, we could say the primary season is considered spring and summer, and if you're doing full season, then it goes around through the fall and winter, and the fall winter is a renewal of fall winter is a just slightly lesser rate. Whatever's straightforward. And that depends on whether council agrees with that, obviously. Councilor Smith?
Similar to what I was saying. So when you look at the current license options, summer and fall season is May 1 to October 31st. We all agree that's when your chip wagons are open. Winter, spring season, November 1 to April 30th. You may have the odd one here or there. You may want to stay open on, say, particular days of the week. Right now, we're sitting at a 375, no matter what, your summer, fall, or your winter, spring. So back to my comment, if that's the case, if someone wants to, like the winter, spring, yeah, if you want, lower it, because you know your summer, fall is going to be your heavy food vendor operator, not the November date. So if you're trying to make a cut, instead of making it complicated, they reduce the fee of winter season, spring season, say to $300, savings of $75.
So I guess I think I don't want to put words in our CAO's mouth, but I guess the only question would be, what about the food vendor that only operates for whatever reason in the winter, like the fall winter time frame? Is that a $300 or is that a $375?
I don't know if you can find one for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
Common sense. I'm just saying, like, sure. Most of our food vendor people are your, you know, your summer season people, not your winter people. Say they're minus 30. Like,
yep, I agree.
Yes, Your Worship, I think in the report it does talk about the number of annual, or at least the number of operators who've done it for a year, and there's been 2 in 1 year that have done it. So we're not talking a huge number of people now. You may incent somebody to decide that they're gonna operate all year round for an extra $75, but I don't know.
And even if that happens, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
No,
So how does council feel about that then? Just $375 for the primary season and a rate of $300 for the secondary season, and just make it simple like that. Does that work? Okay, I'm seeing nodding heads. Do you want an official amendment then to the motion? I guess we probably should.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Smith and Councillor Osterhoff to amend that so that we create a secondary season at a rate of $300 per season, per that season. And
I'm
Deputy?
just, sorry, Your Worship, just to clarify, are they still, is council still in agreement that they have to go through the renewal process?
Yes, yeah,
Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
yeah. Yeah, I think there was good rationale and good understanding for that. Okay, I'm gonna call the question on just the amendment then. All those in favor? Okay, that carries. And so now we're back to the original motion to receive the report. And now the motion is to approve continuing with seasonal issue of licenses at the rate stipulated. Okay, so I'll call the question on that then. All those in favor? And that carries. Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to 6.1.3. That one. This is basically an information report at this point. The motion is the council receives report F-25-10, and this is with regards to the county road 29 property that the township is vested in. So could I get a mover and seconder to receive that, please? Moved by Councillor Renault, second by Councillor Smith. Staff have anything that they wish to add before we start discussions? No? Okay, fair enough. All right, so I'll go ahead and open the floor for discussions. Got a lot of information contained there. Councillor Downing?
So, the bottom line is that, it's gonna be between 95 and 125 to remove what's there, and that's finished, right?
Yep.
And then we decide what to do with it after that.
Yes, yeah, I think the march so far has been to make it a viable property again. We were long into a process where we're getting any taxes on it. And so we embarked upon this journey to ultimately make it a productive property again. But I believe the intention with the council of the day was to turn this into a saleable property. Tax sales have not been successful up until this point. So I view this sort of as an investment that we get it to the point where we could sell it more easily. Madam Director?
Through you to council, it wasn't necessarily that we were going to invest the money. It's just investing the money in the EA so that if we want to advertise it as is, we can say to an investor, this is what it's gonna cost for you to do anything with it. Sell it the way it is and let somebody else look after it.
Yeah,
Or,
that's certainly.
or vice versa, you can invest in it and sell it for a heftier price, it's commercial property.
And we may want to take a 1-2 step approach, try and if we still don't get any interest, then consider making an investment to broaden the pool of potential buyers. Councillor Downey?
Yeah, that kind of makes sense because we would probably have to budget for this.
Well,
Do it in a 2-step process.
And Greg?
Just if I may just add to that, the other nice thing about somebody else buying it and doing the work is the township can then offer brownfield incentives, which is basically tax reductions for a certain amount of time if they do the work to clean it up environmentally. We can't do that for ourselves, obviously, but we can offer that and make it more incentivized for a developer to do that.
Right.
I guess the value here is at least we've taken all the unknowns out of the equation.
Right, which was
Just makes more information on the table for prospective clients.
It's. Mr. Knoll?
And through your worship, just literally, what, the treasurer has said. You would need to have a brownfield program in order to be able to offer. So you need to develop a brownfields incentive program, which you're permitted to do, but you need to have that program in place before you go and
Okay, and just in case some ears have picked up on that and some minds are starting to turn, is that something that you would seek a motion for, or direction out of this discussion would be sufficient for staff to start working on bringing a brownfield program draft forward?
I think at this stage, and we have talked about this in the past, having a CIP program. I think a report about the different CIP options available to council would probably be beneficial. And so I think maybe we can wait for a decision on what to do about this program until you get a report on the CIP program, which we will grab an option.
All right, any other council?
Well, I don't understand this brownfield option. Could you just explain to me once quickly what that means?
Do you want to?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You've had experience with this.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. So the municipal permits municipalities provide financial incentives for the redevelopment of property. And there's a number of different programs you can put in place. Most of them are tax incremental reductions. So if you put property on the market, you can give someone a reduction in their taxes over a certain number of years. There is also generally a brownfield program, which tends to be a little bit more cash, but the municipality gets to write that on.
They can write it off if they develop the program.
So does that fill in some blanks for you?
It does, as long as it doesn't cost more than this $125,000. It's kind of a toss up.
Well, and I guess there's also cash flow considerations. So whatever we own it, and it isn't moving, it isn't being sold, there are taxes that we're not collecting. So just as a hypothetical, let's say that the brownfield program provides tax relief for up to 5 years. Well, that's no different than it's sitting there not selling for 5 years. So essentially, it doesn't cost us $1 to offer that incentive, but it provides value to the development community to acquire the property and bring it back to being a productive property. And after those 5 years, they would start to pay taxes.
No, I'm just saying, to develop the program.
Oh,
I see. Not the
I see.
not the savings and potential savings, but
Just paperwork. It's a policy, or at least a program which council agreed to implement and put in place. And it's just time to create the program, to create the bylaws to make sure that it's in place.
Yeah. Okay, I saw Councilor Rideau.
Is there something that we can put in place for the future? Because I complained about this property for years and the township did nothing. All they had to do was make the owner do something before the 2 years was up, and we wouldn't be in this. And they wouldn't have been in this position. They could have sold it. But we did nothing. We didn't urge, we didn't push, we didn't call MOE to make them do it, because it was their responsibility on it. But it's just something we can put in place, because we've got other spots that could potentially end up doing the same thing, walking away and leaving an environmentally unsound property that then we end up losing.
Can't think of anything recent that would still fall in the 2 years for something like this, but I'm not saying that there aren't other circumstances out there. So, Mr. Knoll?
And through your worship, I think we have employment lands which we are hoping to develop in the future, or in Augusta, and having a community improvement program which offers some kind of incentives, either through a tax incentive, or it shouldn't be brownfield because there's remediation to be done there, will be beneficial. So I think developing this program now to encompass both a tier and a brownfield program Will be beneficial. You'll have a tool in place for council. When you are looking to develop the North Augusta property. And you can, once the program is developed, you can define other areas where you would like to put that program in place.
Okay, Councillor Ostrov, did I see you? No. Okay, all right. Anybody else?
Learning a lot.
Yes. All right, so I think no action to be taken at this point on this particular one, pending that I get the sense that we're gonna see a staff report at some point regarding these two programs and where they fit into this property, the North Augusta Road property. Okay, great. All right, so I'll call a question on receiving that then. All those in favor? Carries, thank you. Okay, now that just over the page, we're now on to planning and development. 6.2.1, the first item is our July building report. The motion is that report B-25-11, July building report, be received. A mover and seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Eady, seconded by Councillor Rideau. Any comments or questions? Okay, Councillor Osterhoff.
Building permit for the tent at the golf club, is that for year-round use or just summer use?
I believe it's a permanent, it's considered a permanent structure. I think they're planning on leaving the wrap up and using heaters and that type of thing on those occasions when they can.
Okay, thank you.
Right, anybody else? Sorry to our planner.
No, that's fine.
Okay, I'll go ahead and call the question then. All those in favor? That carries, thank you. Okay, on to 6.2.2. This is with regards to the Lynn Banshell location. The motion is that report P-25-26, Lynn Banshell location be received, and the council approve option 1 to change the location of the Banshell to ensure compliance with section 3.14 of zoning bylaw 13-21 as amended. I'm looking for a mover and seconder for that, please. I'll move by Councillor Renault, seconded by Councillor Eady. Does staff have anything that they wish to add, Mr. Planner? Or just stands as it is?
It stands as it is, but I'd be willing to answer any questions that that council has. Before we make a decision.
Just before the discussion begins, I do have a question for council. Did anybody read the planning report that went to the committee of adjustment and watch the video link that I'd sent through a couple of weeks ago? Okay, all right, good. All right, so at least we can have a fruitful discussion. Okay, fair enough. So I'll open the floor for discussion on this. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Your Worship. First of all, I'd like to start off by saying that the 3 option locations that were presented to council that everyone got a copy of back in January, February, was also given to the planner, Mike, not Mr. Hutton, Mike. And the Banshell committee has met monthly during office hours here. The committee's been very open with council. Council's been very open and cooperative with the committee. We approved this location. From the time this project started, the committee nor council ever heard from the planner who had this on his docket. The committee, Banshell committee, did not even know that the planner was going to committee of adjustment for a minor variance. They do absolutely nothing. So the information you sent out, and I watched the video. So a few comments. First of all, in the planner's report, stated that written approval from Counterwalkway, which has already been received, and the development be carried out in accordance with flood proofing standards and protecting work standards. The access standards and new hazards are not created, and existing hazards are not aggravated, and that the floor of the gazebo be at 0.3 meters above the floodplain evaluation, which the staff said They have no issues and was asking for approval. Committee of Adjustment had their meeting. I did not like some of the comments that were made in that committee. First of all, it's almost like they thought we were pulling the wool over their eyes. Council nor the committee was doing anything wrong. We've been up front with everything going on here. Here we are now. It's August. We're ready to move forward with this. We're not sitting here waiting. And, you know, when the committee received this, they're not too happy. I'm not too happy. And I don't think council should be too happy to receive a report from Committee of Adjustment denying it. My opinion is that a lot of it was a personal bias that we did not inform them. And that's in my opinion how some individual on that committee voted. And also, I did not see a 2-by-2 in favor or opposed either on that vote. So, in my opinion, I think we need to stick to the location that was selected, the location that council approved. Council has the final say, and council can't override the Committee of Adjustment. As stated by the planner, Michael, I can't pronounce the name properly, that's why I just called Michael. And it's very clear in his recommendation, okay, that it be approved. So I don't know why this is going on, and I don't know why the committee or the council wasn't informed of anything up until now. Thank you.
Okay, not sure if staff has anything that they want to add at that point. But other than I have a question for you, Mr. Hutton. The Committee of Adjustment is considered a quasi judicial body, and I believe that the council purposely has not put a council member on that committee to keep an arm's length. And that essentially their decisions are final. Council has no authority to override their decision. We could consider a zoning amendment to deal with it that way. We could adjust the position, or we could appeal like any other landowner, property owner, to the land tribunal. But I don't believe that we can actually override their decision. Their decision is fine. Am I right in that?
That's correct. They're a totally autonomous committee and their decision stands. And,
okay.
I've got the either advantage or disadvantage, I don't know how you look at it, of becoming involved in this after the decision was made. So
right.
At times, I think it might be an advantage, but
yeah.
It's been a bit of it's an unusual situation for sure. I am not sure, like Michael Zarni is a very good planner and he's very knowledgeable in our non-conforming use provisions of our zoning bylaw. So at this point, option 1 is non-conforming use. Option 2 is zoning. Non-conforming use to me, if it's there now, it was there before. So I'm not sure, you know, what Councilor Smith's referring to. There's, I think, some communication issues somewhere along the line, in my view. But again, Michael is very knowledgeable and he's a very good planner, and I don't want to throw him under the bus. Option 2 is rezoning wherever you want that structure to be. So I would suggest to council that option 1 works if you're on the same footprint and you do not increase the height, size, volume. Option 1 works very well. It's very fast. And in fact, we can go right to the building permit stage because we have the approval of the conservation authority. Option 2 is a little longer because you got to go through the rezoning process, but you could have the same result. Again, we have written permission from the conservation authority that we can go that way. That would be okay if the non-conforming use location doesn't suit. And I'm just saying that because I'm not really too sure. So I just want to make sure that council is clear that if the non-conforming use situation works, so in other words, you're on the same building footprint, you don't increase the height, size, volume, that's your fastest option. Option 2 is probably the medium option in terms of speed. We can do a rezoning very quickly. It's totally in council's control, and we have a permission from the conservation board. Option 3 on the appeal, probably the longest option, probably the most costly, and although I'd be confident that it would be approved by the Ontario Land Tribunal, you never know. They're also a semi-autonomous body. So there's a situation where council could theoretically put resources into that And we could be meeting back here in a couple months as well. So I just thought I'd throw that out there, and if there are any other questions, I'll try and respond.
Appreciate that. And Mr. Hall?
Thank you, Your Worship, and I just wanted to add one more thing to planner's explanation. The fourth attachment shows the location that the Ban Shell Committee were looking for, and you can see that it sits to a large extent over the existing structure, and really option one is saying move it a little bit so that it sits completely over the existing structure, and then you don't have no planning process to go through. You can simply go straight to a building permit.
Councilor Smith for follow-up?
So I'm confused, probably as much as anybody else would be. So you're looking at that attachment right now. I don't know if you can bring it up on the screen, but anyways.
So this is the graphic with the blue octagon.
The blue octagon on it.
Okay.
If
Is that gray the roof of the shed?
Yes.
It's there, okay.
it's going down, yeah. The thing is leaning like it was,
So
yeah, it's up the.
We're just gonna wait for a second to get the graphic up, and then at least we're all looking and referring to the same thing.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up. All right, so just explain to me then. Okay, that's the location that the committee was talking about. And the reason why has been explained to council is that it's nice to have it symmetrical with that cement pad, so the cement pad is utilized in all square areas, okay? So what I'm hearing from Mr. Nolan, explain to me what you just stated. Are you saying if we take that blue octagon and we move it a little bit to the right where the old pavilion is, you're saying we're all right?
Yep.
As long as you sit in the footprint of the existing structure, you're okay.
Yep.
Okay. You don't mind, Mayor, as you know, you have a couple of committee members sitting here.
Yeah.
And we did this once before, but because when I read the report, it says option one, okay? I'm looking at the map that was given to us as option one.
Yeah, right.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was never explained to us, okay? Sorry, but it wasn't, all right? So I think we're okay with that.
Yeah.
We have no problem with that.
It's referred, the report, everything in the report refers to the information in the report itself. So the report outlines what option one would be, and that is this legally non-conforming use by reusing the existing footprint. So everything in that report refers to its own option one. It's not cross-referencing the earlier diagram that you're looking
Okay,
at.
all right. Glad we got that clear, because I'll be honest, the committee is not clear on that.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we're okay, just by shifting it over in the same footprint, even though we're not gonna be center of the pad, but it's still gonna be in the same, area. Can you have a couple of members
Right.
give the agreement to it, or how do you wanna do this?
Yeah, under the circumstances, I don't mind, yes. If you want to keep your contributions brief, by all means.
Stand up and state your name and.
Hello, Ray Morrison from Frankel on the committee. Ray Morrison from Frankel on the committee. I think back to part of the problem that was created is the picture that the Committee of Adjustment got. Had that over toward the left, towards the canteen again. It wasn't in the right place. And that might have confused them. Where this is in the right place, and it's under it's centered on the big cement pad. And it's in the right place, and it's underneath the existing structure. And it makes sense to the committee. I think it would make sense to the Committee of Adjustment. And definitely to the planner. But if we go back to that picture that the Committee of Adjustment got on the original application, it's not in the right place.
And I would suggest that, having watched that committee meeting, even where the blue octagon is right now, I think the committee would still have a very similar discussion and would still come out with the same ultimate decision, simply because I truly believe it would be that picayune that they would want to see the octagon completely overlaid at the corner of the parking lot where the existing structure is. So where the blue octagon is showing right now, I don't believe would be considered conforming because it doesn't fit within the existing footprint. It is outside the footprint. I know that's technical by a few feet, but that's my honest assessment of what the committee would likely to do, just based on the rationale that they provided. They would say if it doesn't fit in the building itself, then it's outside the lines as far as they're concerned. Mr. Hutton?
If I may, at this point, if council opts for option one, our building official and our planner, it'll be me now. Can go out to that site and make sure that that's within the footprint. Right now, I kind of agree, it doesn't really look like it's in the footprint. We see the shadow of the roof there, of the gazebo or the structure. But if council directs us to option one, we can go out on the ground and make sure that happens.
And so what would happen if you go out on the ground and to center the gazebo on that cement pad would not fall within the existing footprint? Then it would still be a process of a new variance because it's
I would suggest the zoning route and keep it within council control if that's the case.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Moulton.
Your worship, so the building official who's been working very closely with working on the committee has said that the type of ban shell that they want to build and the size of it would fit within that footprint. Yeah. So we're very confident that it would fit within that footprint. So in fact, that building is going to be coming down very, very shortly. So we will have a blank footprint for us to work with.
Yeah. Anybody else at this point?
Also,
Ms.
if
Faulkner?
we decided that would go within that footprint, we made it so that it was going to be handicapped accessible. There is a cement pad there, and it's more like a sidewalk, right? And it does come up right beside and makes a perfect place for it to go into where the band shell would be. Also, you've got to remember, this is short, that coming into the park from the street, you're walking in at a nice angle. And when people are going to come to the band shell, they're going to set all their chairs up on the cement pad. There's room enough and it will be perfect for everybody. You go moving the band shell over, then you're running into a parking area. You can't do that. Also, you have a ball diamond here. So you do not want balls coming over and doing any damage to any of the parked vehicles or to the band shell. You have to take that into consideration. So the planning department, I do not understand why they did not come to the area and come with a member of the committee and look at this and see how that we have gone over and over and over how this is going to work best for the community.
Yeah, and in fairness, I don't think it was the planning department that misunderstood or what have you. Based on the selection that the committee had made and the council approved, and the zoning being floodplain, a variance was required. And so, you know, this should have been a routine process. It turned out not to be. I don't believe at the feet of the planning department, to be quite honest. But until the discussion concludes, I'm going to refrain from sharing my own comments. I don't want to poison the well, but I'll certainly share some thoughts on that. So I appreciate what you said about, you know, somebody going to visit and see. I think everybody understands the amount of thought that the committee has put in. And even as it's displayed, I think it may have required a variance anyway. Only if you put it sort of over in the corner, it's obvious that the existing shape of it is over to the corner of the cement pad, not in the middle of it. Yeah. So I largely agree with you, other than I don't really set the responsibility at the feet of the planning department. I set it at the feet of the committee of adjustment.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
My mistake.
That's okay. Councilor Osterhoff?
No.
Okay. All right. Any other input or discussion around this? Okay, in which case I'll go ahead and share my thoughts. I still, even to this minute, am really struggling with this, only because I very much want to do the expedient thing so that we can actually get something good done for the community and get on and get the band shell built. However, something has gone terribly wrong in this process. And if we do the expedient thing, the right thing to do is not always the easiest. And right now, the easiest thing to do will be to go with option one. But what I saw from that committee is a textbook display of flexing of bureaucratic muscle. And staff did nothing wrong in developing this report. They were very kind to the committee by saying that the committee deemed this not to be minor. But the reality is, when you listen to that discussion, the committee's decision was based on a bruised ego. The fact that at least one member felt that council was trying to do something out of order by going and raising money in the community first, and then going for the variance after that had begun, that we'd done something that no property owner would ever get away with. Well, I'm sorry, but in my view, that's dead wrong. Had we actually issued ourselves a building permit and then gone for the variance, that would have been out of order and something that no other property owner could do. But any other property owner has every right to go to the bank before they build a structure to see if they can get financing for it. Right up to the point of getting the building permit, they have every right to do whatever it is that they want to do with their own affairs, and then they can come and apply for a minor variance. And when somebody veils their bruised ego with supposedly saying the right process wasn't followed, they better not be living in a glass house when they throw that stone. Because when you take a look at the Committee of Adjustment and the 4 tests that they're supposed to look at, nothing in there asks them to test the sequence of events or the timing of the request for the minor variance. They failed to justify their denial using one or more of only the 4 tests that they are supposed to use. So if they want to talk about a process that went off the rails, it was their own process that went off the rails, not ours. And you know, I've been critical of you from time to time, Councillor Smith, in terms of fact checking, and this is a case where I'm going to back you 100%. I think some of the comments that were made were completely out of line, and it's for that reason that my heart wants to say, I know that there's going to be a timing price to pay for this, but if we do the expedient thing, we can't also take the Committee of Adjustment to the Land Tribunal, because that will really frustrate the tribunal as wasting their time. If we go with that option, then at least I think we have a chance to restore some trust in our public institution, because right now, if we do what we're suggesting doing, just the expedient thing, what we deal with it ourselves in terms of zoning, then the comment that was made at the Committee of Adjustment to say, well, our vote doesn't matter, they're just going to do what they want anyway, we will have played right into what they said was going to happen. And I think that sends the wrong message to the public. So as much as I know that this essentially is going to push the building into the next season, I go back to my comment that the right thing to do is not always the easiest thing to do. And I really think that we need an independent body to show that committee that they colored far outside the lines. And I'm concerned what's going on with that committee when we don't have eyes on their meeting, and what have they done to other property owners in our township? You know, I think it's a legitimate question to now ask if this is the way that they conduct their affairs. I think that's a legitimate question. So I personally am in favor of going to Land Tribunal. I understand the risk. I'm extremely confident. I don't see how anybody can go through any one of those tests and say that it doesn't meet the 4 tests. I don't know whether that changes anybody's mind around council, and it's not at all that I'm trying to delay the project. I would love to see the project go ahead this year, but I just think we will be doing our property owners and ourselves a disservice if we just allow the Committee of Adjustment to continue, without any checks and balances. Councillor Smith?
I agree with you wholeheartedly. The only concern I have is by the time we get the meeting set up, we probably and everything.
I know.
So getting back to the option 1, thank you. Glad that's straightened out. Now I understand. So yes, agree with number option 1, okay. But I think we as a council somehow need to get to that Committee of Adjustment and maybe straighten them a little bit, or say, hey, that's how you're going to operate. Well, maybe it's time for us to find someone else for the committee. I don't know. But those comments that were made, personally, my name was mentioned a couple times.
Yep.
Okay, and I didn't mention their person's name. All right, If you watch the meeting, you will. But anyways, I did not approve, I didn't like it. And so thank you, Jim, for the clarification here on option one. Because I'm going on the premises of the map we were given, so. Thank you.
I watched the meeting as well, but I think, and I agree with a lot of what you said, but. I just think that all the fundraising, the planning, the process to date, you'd lose your steam if it was put off for another year. So I would have to support option one.
Mr. Noel?
Thank you, your worship, and our planner has just whispered something to me that I thought maybe might be an option that you might want to consider. You can appoint members of council to the committee of adjustment. So you may want to have some council oversight on that committee so that you are aware of what decisions are made.
All right, well, that's not something that's interesting. I don't think that's a decision we should be making in the heat of the moment. It's good to know that that's an option. I wasn't aware of that. I think there's probably some history behind why councils in multiples have decided to keep it at an arm's length. I'll leave it at that, but that's an interesting option. Good to know. All right, any other input, Councillor Renaud?
Well, yeah, having watched it, it started out, 3 of them were in favor.
That's right.
Yep.
It started out with 3 of them that were in favor, and I don't know who the gentleman is that went on and on about us not doing things properly. But why is there only 4 on that committee? Like 4, you have tie.
Yep.
And the tie screws everything, so there shouldn't actually be 4.
Well, I believe there, just to correct that, I believe there are actually 5 assigned, but on that particular day, I believe the 5th one was absent.
Well, then they shouldn't have been able to vote. Because it's an even number and it's bad, but. By not, I kind of liked your idea about going to the tribunal and setting them straight. Because I do worry, what is going on with other, we haven't had any complaints. But some people just think that they can't complain and they don't. But they do need to, we weren't doing anything.
Mr. Nolan?
Thank you again, your worship. Just a reminder, the committee of adjustment did have a vacancy not long ago, which we did fill. We had 1 applicant. So the reason we may have those numbers is simply because we haven't had a lot of applicants for this particular position. And we're still short one,
Oh, is that right? I thought we were back with that. I thought we were back up to full complement.
If I may, we're down to 3 members.
Yeah.
And we have a new member of 4, and it's actually to be a committee of 5.
Okay. I didn't realize the 5th one had actually resigned or vacated. I thought they were just absent for that particular meeting. Okay, all right, I misunderstand. Councillor Oldcroft?
I'll probably support option one, Councillor Downey's words. What would we gain other than saying that we were right? And I think we know in this room that we did not break rules or bend rules, and we were not doing improper procedure. Let's get this project. It's a great project for the community in the township. Let's just carry on and encourage the people that are on that committee, and let's get it done.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, so that was indeed the operative clause that was in the motion that was presented, was to approve option 1. So if there's no more discussion, then I'll go ahead and call the question. All those in favor? Okay, that carries. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
On to section 6.3, this is Public Works, 6.3.1, with regards to truck 9 repair. The motion is that council receive report PW 25-26, truck 09 repair or replace. And that council is to provide direction to the Public Works Manager with the procurement of a like replacement of truck 09. I'm looking for a mover and seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Osterhoff, seconded by Councillor Renaud. Mr. Metcalf, do you wish to add anything, or should we get right in? Okay, all right, so I'll open the floor for discussion then. Councillor Dion.
I like option 2 the best because we don't have this slated for the budget. That's the bottom line. too bad that ended up costing so much money over the years, but it's the way it is. And it might get us through to the point where a new truck is made available.
Okay, I'm just gonna go to Mr. Metcalf to clarify something. What is the cost to outfit one of the existing pieces of equipment that we have with the necessary equipment, the blade, whatever it is, to be able to rejig the roots, because that was buried in here as well. So I understand Councillor Downey's reaction now, and I largely agree with it, but I think that $10,000 comes pretty close to an alternate arrangement that was outlined in the report. Am I correct?
Yes, so option 2 is replace the truck and refit truck 206, which is a 3/4 ton with a plow and sander. This is around 15,000. And then rejig the plow. It's 10, well, 10 was a plow, but it's by the plow. And hopefully we can reuse the sander we have.
Right.
But it may not be compatible with the treated sand, because the sander unit that we've been thinking about is used primarily for salt right now.
Right.
Okay. But now that 10,000 might be a little low.
So just to clarify, unless I'm out of sync with the latest report, option 2 that I'm looking at in the report is refurbishment of the existing components of the emission system core to be cleaner.
That's the one.
Well, that's true.
No, it's refurbishment.
Okay, but
It's
below
replace-
are the real options. That's a temporary, that's a current issue situation.
Yes, I'm just trying to clarify that when we refer to option numbers, that we're all talking about the same
I
thing.
know,
That's
that's
all.
an issue there.
So on page 2 of the report, there's option 1, 1A, 2, and 3. So is that the option 2 that you were referring to, Councillor Down?
No,
Oh, okay.
no,
So which option 2 were you?
Go
looking
page
at?
3.
I was referring to the repair the emission system failure. But I'm not sure if I'm clear on that now. Cause I kind of thought that was option 2 up top.
The $10,000.
I made a mistake.
$10,000?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought we could kind of get that truck going for 10,000, but
Okay.
I didn't compare it properly to the bottom.
Well, not entirely true, because in the section of the report that has the green options band, there is an option 2 that says replace. So I think there was a little bit of confusion between the options. So I think, Councillor Donnelly, you're talking about the $10,000 option to try to refurbish the existing emission system and keep the truck going just a little bit.
That's my preference.
Okay, fair enough. And I guess my question through to Mr. Metcalf was, am I right that that $10,000 figure is similar to what it would cost to outfit another piece of equipment and no longer rely on this truck?
Yes.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So I just want to keep in mind that if we have a $10,000 appetite, one is a more known outcome versus this that I think carries some risk. They may not be able to refurbish the existing emissions. So just wanted to keep that clear for everybody. So I got Councillor Brayton and Councillor, go ahead.
Thank you. This emissions stuff on a truck, it could cost you 10,000, it could cost you a lot more. And that truck is used, I think, for the river road plowing. Is that right?
No, sir, through Councillor Reed. Truck 9 does the village of Lynn. It does some of the east end down by Applewood Crescent, inside the 6th concession. And I think there's 2 roads just up the road.
It's the smaller,
It's a small single lesson, yeah.
where the bigger trucks are hard to get in.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I've had experience with this emission stuff. And if you're lucky to get at $10,000, I don't know where you're gonna get it. For $10,000, because the burner, afterburner is a lot more than that, and then you got filters that you've got to burn them out. They build up, and I've went through all that kind of crap, and I tell you, it's very expensive. And the make of that truck is not my favorite unit anymore, because they're made in Mexico and they're not worth nothing. And we're lucky to get as much service out of it as we did. The truck is how old?
It's
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years, right?
10 years.
10 years.
10 years. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I get rid of the friggin' thing and get someone to replace it and be done with it. Cause it's gonna be trouble, trouble, trouble. Guaranteed.
Okay.
And I'm not so free with money, but I've had experience with that.
So you're,
I had,
just clarify, so you're saying replace it then?
yeah,
New truck?
All right, so we can follow that line of logic in just a moment. So we've got Mr. Nolan with a response, and then we'll get to Councilor.
Thank you, your worship, and just to reiterate that, it's already slated for replacing next year. And so in next year's budget, we would have been having this conversation on replacing this anyway.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Renault.
Yeah, and I mean, I just did that on my tractor. And I was lucky, it didn't cost me quite the 10,000, but darn close to it, and everything was good. All they had to do was blow it out and burn it up or whatever they do. But it was pretty close, and that was just a tractor, it's a 10. But you're right, with it being on the block for next year replacement. If I read correctly in here, we could get that one truck that may be available in November, but it may not be available until March, which would make the payment next year anyway, in next year's budget. And if you do that T6 truck with a sander and a plow, well, then now you have an extra thing after you get the new truck, so it makes sense. I wouldn't spend another dime on a vehicle that you've already spent way more than you should have. I don't even think you can get any money out of the parts, but maybe.
Okay. Anybody else? Councilor Olson?
If we talk about replacing it, like, we don't have that money in this budget.
No, it's next year, please.
But you begin the process, but with next year's dollars.
Yes, that's one way to do it, and so I have a question for our Director of Finance. If we say, okay, well, it may come a little bit sooner in November, is there a legitimate accounting mechanism to deal with an unfunded liability for 2 months or what have you, pre-approving next year's budget? Like, what are the mechanics of that?
Well, it essentially will be whatever the cost of the truck, if we have to pay for it on delivery. I'm not sure if there's sometimes, if it's close, the vendor will pop the invoice into next year. But you can't expect that in November, and we need it for November
Sure.
to do the plow. So it's due on delivery.
Right.
Which means that your budget has gone 500,000, what is it worth?
380.
380.
Yep.
Over budget again.
Yep.
It is a capital, you can use unfinanced capital, we can carry that and budget for it in 2026 if we have,
Okay,
that is an option.
and so I guess what would our year-end audit look like under those circumstances? Would it then telegraph to the residents that we were in deficit yet again, or? And I'm not trying to hide anything, I'm just trying to make sure that
It's recorded as unfinanced capital.
Okay, all right, fair enough,
Funded in the future.
okay. Councilor Renault?
But if we fix T6, put the plow on T6, and then say we'll take delivery in January, then that's in the new year.
Yeah.
Because
If the vendor will do that.
I wouldn't hold my breath that it would be ready in November.
In my opinion, sort of through the council. So it was a demo truck that they built for their western, for their western sales team. But as soon as we found out about it, we contacted the supplier and he said, hey, I got one that might fit exactly, but I need to know now, or it's gonna be likely to be sold.
Right.
No, it's still, it may not be that truck, might be a full bill, which would be March. That's why I'm left it open-ended for the date.
Okay.
I call them tomorrow, maybe it's still available and we're good.
Okay. All right, anybody else?
Well,
So certainly back, yep,
so if we did get the truck kind of going, it may be worth something at auction. But at the moment, it's just scrap that we put $80,000 into.
it'll be scrap. Don't matter what you do.
Like.
Yeah.
You don't think that we could get any money out of it at auction if we got it, you know. Somewhat
Very good.
going,
Does it have that max force engine in it?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's a case of that judgment call of how much good money do you spend after bad. And if it was a little bit more of a known outcome, that yes, you know, we have good success sending these things out, and getting them, you know, refurbished and salvaged and so on, but to me, it's a little bit of a crapshoot. Might spend the 10,000 and still not be able to use it, and then still be into outfitting truck 6 with something to get by. It's a tough call. I know where you're going with that, but we do, yeah, Mr. Ross.
Sorry, the mechanic didn't feel real confident with option 2, the partial repair.
Right.
It's the seals and you may not be able to get it to go back together, so you might be end up trying the 10,000, then moving to the 30.
Yeah.
So then you're 40. Like he didn't feel super confident with that when he told me about it, but.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to sort of come to the middle on some kind of a direction here. Who wants to start again? Councilor Edie?
I'll move for option 3 of the full replacement.
Okay. Option 3 is the full replacement.
Yeah.
And so I think that essentially involves that potential demo unit. And so Mr. Royal, should the demo unit not be available and we have to go with a full build, obviously that would affect the delivery time. Does it also affect the price?
It should.
Okay, all right, that's at least something to know. Mr. Nolan?
Your worship, and I apologize for the several options in the report in various areas. In making a recommendation, can we stick to the ones that are in the sort of green option area, which there's 2 of, which is either repair the unit or replace and add $10,000 plow.
I move option 3.
2.
Option
2.
Sorry. Go to the green option.
Oh,
Above the financial.
Yeah.
Count.
Yeah.
Page 3. Well, it's number 2.
Page 3, no.
Okay, so all right, so page 3
So, yeah,
and under the options category. So
Yes.
that's what we're referring to. Okay, fair enough.
It's I'm apologizing for having
That's
too
okay.
many options
Yep.
in various parts of the report. It's made it very confusing.
Yep, that's all right. It happens. So long as we know what we're all looking at, so that we reference the same nomenclature, that it's all good. So Councilor Edie has suggested, let's just go ahead with replace. And that likely will require the acquisition of a plow and sander for T6, unless we find out from this manufacturer that, yep, it'll be ready 1st of November.
Yeah.
Okay, so Councilor Edie has, I won't say move that because we already have a motion on the table, but she's directed our consensus in that direction. Is everybody comfortable with that?
no.
No, okay. All right, any other objections? All right, seems like that's at least the consensus, so that's what the motion will reflect, and you're certainly at liberty to vote against that, Councilor Downey, but so with that being the consensus on the direction.
That's going to, I usually don't know. How are we funding this? We're gonna approve the option number 3 right now. How are we funding it?
Right, to our Director of Finance?
Actually, I'm still unclear which way this is going.
Okay.
So there's replacement using the one he has a lead on.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's not what.
Oh, sorry, it's replacement.
yes,
Of the whole unit based on the discussions in this demo model. But if it's not available, then it's replacement
New.
canoe or RFP or whatever's happening with that. In both instances, we're still spending the money. No. In the canoe instance, we don't have to put the $10,000 into truck 6. And
yes,
but we have to carry unfinanced capital into next year because we'll be paying for it now.
that's for the demo, if the demo.
For the demo.
Yeah.
If it's not the demo, then it can be pushed into the 2026 budget, but The
You have
fix
to do T6.
Correct.
on T6 will have to be in this budget.
Yeah,
So
correct.
which
Which one she going
is
with?
it, yeah, and is it a matter of try and do the demo,
Yes,
Yes.
but if that doesn't work,
It would be-
then
It
we
is-
move to.
that's right. So.
Is that how you want the?
Well, I think.
Yes, ma'am.
I think that's, I think that's laid out actually in the option 2 to replace, because it's only the mechanics of the replacement. I know it makes a big difference to you in terms of the accounting, or whether it's unfunded or we talk about next year's budget. But from a council direction standpoint, there is no difference. We want to get a new unit. We don't want to put more good money into a bad unit.
Right.
And so I think we understand the implications, but we don't have the information tonight to know which one of those 2 forks we're following for a new unit.
Well, one council needs to waive their procurement policy for.
I see.
No.
Okay.
Just going directly to the supplier.
He just said it's a canoe purchase. The demo is a canoe purchase, or if we have to build a new unit, it's a canoe purchase.
Oh, okay,
There's no.
all right,
Okay, all right,
got
good.
that.
Okay, good. No, it's a good point to raise.
It's already gone through the whole
Right process.
Oh, procurement process because it's on committee.
Okay. All right, so everybody clear and satisfied, notwithstanding, maybe not agree with the direction.
So,
Rob's good.
let's look underneath the green title of
Yeah.
options.
Yeah,
So we're looking at option 2,
to replace, yes.
proceed with replace this unit approximately $380,000. This option also did require acquisition of $10,000 for the plow and sander assembly for T06 to maintain full operation winter maintenance capacity this year, correct?
Yep,
Right.
Thank you.
that's the one that we're talking about.
Okay,
You straight now?
yeah.
Okay, so with that, then I'll call the question on that motion. All those in favor? Okay, and opposed? Okay, noted, and that does carry. Thank you. All right, moving on to our next, and we've got a second public works report. Yes, the New Dublin Works Garage RFP. So that's 6.3.2. The motion is that council receive report PW 25-27, New Dublin Public Works Garage RFP. And the council authorize staff to issue the RFP for architectural and engineering design services for the New Dublin Public Works Garage. I need a mover and seconder to get that on the floor. Moved by Councillor Edie, seconded by Councillor Smith. Anything to add, Mr. Metcalf, or?
No, that's not.
Okay, all right, so I'll open the floor for discussion around this item then. Councillor Raker, go ahead.
Thank you. Is this here? We're gonna get an option for rebuild?
Mhm. Yep.
Or replace,
Yeah,
or what?
or reuse the existing building for what I'm gonna term cold storage. And a new smaller building. So a hybrid approach, that was the third, so we're
We're
gonna,
gonna have 3 options.
Correct.
When we get all done,
correct,
and then we can make up our mind
correct.
to spend $12 million.
No, actually, there's a limit, there's a limit in the RFP, I believe, of 5 million. No, I believe all of the designs are expected to not exceed a budget of 5 million.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, I had the pleasure of being out at Montague yesterday. They had a seniors 50-year celebration,
Mhm.
and I was out there. I had a free supper and beautiful afternoon, hot, but anyway, it was nice. And I did find out that they had 3 constructions. They had a fire hall, works garage, and I think an office on that 12 million or 11 million or whatever it was.
Mhm.
So that made me feel a lot better that we wouldn't have to be spending at least 12 million on it. Yeah. So anyway, it was quite nice night. And proud. I'm proud of them for I wanted to go out and see it, but it was under construction and I wear a hat, nerd hat and boots and all the nectars and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I'm sure we can arrange a tour when it's done if you like.
Yeah, we will.
All right. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Counselor Downey?
I appreciated the way the RFP was put together. It was done well, but I don't remember $5 million budget. It's so easy to spend other people's money, but I don't remember where that one came in or where the agreement on 5 million was. But I do like the way that RFP was put together. That's one thing. And the other thing though is, so with an RFP, is that open for any engineering firm to submit pricing on?
Yes.
With advertising?
Yeah, we're gonna post it on Bid and Go, so it's gonna be open to the world. Should, well, if you wish, you could revise the procurement piece or through the RFP, we can revise it to give a better weighting score for local if you want. That's up to you. Right now, that's not in there, but we can if you want to.
Okay, Counselor Riddell?
As long as it's not an American company.
No.
What was that?
What was that?
What did you say, sorry?
As long as it is not an American company.
Fair enough.
It makes us money.
We have.
Not an American company.
All right.
Is anybody
And
listening to the news?
What's that?
We have trade agreements in Terrebonne where there's certain things we can't do.
Yep.
You can't exclude anybody.
How can the province and the feds exclude them then?
They can't.
But they are.
Let them bid, then you decide.
The American are, but do you want to be here?
so
He's breaking the law.
I have a question for you. Not that I'm questioning what you just said, so this is an educational opportunity for me. My understanding was that there are treaty thresholds. And that something like this at 22,005 is well below any of those thresholds. And so we do have much more flexibility
Yes.
below those thresholds. But I think that common law around this type of thing makes it risky for us to essentially bonus local businesses by saying we'll give 5 additional points for preference to local businesses. So I think that's, am I right in it shaking out like that? Okay. All right.
Things are over.
Okay, well, but they might be coming back. Depends on. I think the country has a different appetite than it did a year ago. All right, and any other input around this? Councillor Ostrov?
I'd probably like a little bit of an answer on what Councilor Downey mentioned, like, where did the $5 million come from? Like project budget, did we make a statement as a council that we had a cap of $5 million? Or?
No, I think what staff did was they listened to the last discussion that we had where people were asking how much can we afford, and there were multiple views on how to determine how much we can afford. And nobody came out and said, I'm not comfortable with any more than 2 million. There was, I don't want to spend any more than we have to. I don't want to give people a blank check, all those good things. And the various scenarios that were discussed went up to 5,000. None of the scenarios went beyond that.
5 million.
And sorry, 5 million. And we discussed the implications to our annual repayment limit, our cash flows, and so there's quite a detailed discussion around that. So you're right, there was no definitive, we're comfortable with 5 million, but nobody said, oh no, even after hearing that, no way, can't go 5 million. When I first read through the report really quickly, I was afraid that 5 million was just for the building, but then I went back and no, okay, that includes the FF&E and things like that. So I think we're talking about an overall project of up to 5 million. And now's the time. If council, is really not comfortable with that, then, they need to revise it now or forever hold our peace type of thing. Councillor Downey?
Well, we did get a price on a building, which was, I remember right from Full Speed, it was 3?
Yeah, three and a bit.
Yeah. 3 and a bit. So, I don't know if there's wording that you could put in to the RFP. We don't want people to design to 5 million.
Right.
We want everything that is is requested to stay under 5 million, but I wouldn't be against spending 2 million if we could get all that for 2 million.
Oh, I agree.
So like, how do you make people aware of that?
For our Director of Finance,
That's the competitive process. It's open to everybody. People are not all gonna shoot for the 5 million because they want the contract. That is the whole process.
Well, this is just the design, but it's not the actual work.
Well,
yeah, Councillor Brayton.
after seeing that fire hall in Toledo built for 2.2. I think that we should be able to have a pretty nice building for half of that 5 million.
So I would caution you on this segues into an interesting question for Mr. Metcalf. So using my own nomenclature, I consider the Toledo Fire Hall to be a 3x2 bay layout. So 3 columns, 2 bays apiece. I think in here I read that you're referring to 8 bays. So is that 8x2 or is that 4x2?
It can be whatever configuration. We can be 4x2.
Okay,
So double base or 8 singles.
just, okay, but you're talking about a total of 8 bays,
Yes.
is what you're, okay, all right, fair enough. Okay.
Yeah. Now we can, there is discussion in there about having it so that it's expandable as well. So if we got through the design process and it was looking like it was gonna be over the 3 million or 4 million or 12 million that you kind of are comfortable with. We want to make sure it's as, I don't want to call it manufacturer of the steel structure, but expandable so that we could put on 4 bays right now and keep the old one in place and then add 4 bays later.
Right.
Because if there are discussions to make changes to the operations piece for winter control, we may need an expanded facility, but maybe we're not there yet.
Right.
So having those options, which would all be fleshed out through the design process and doing the class D and B estimates to get us close to the number that council is comfortable with. And getting into that process is where we're gonna really flesh out that number. We need to give them a target.
Sure.
Say, we're not gonna go over this number.
Right.
And if you present it too low, you may not get what you to where you want to be.
Okay, all right, appreciate that, Councillor Brady.
All right, so I think we should look at the 3 options before we get too excited.
Yep. So one final question, since Councillor Brayton brought this up, doesn't have to be in the RFP, but was any thought given to, we've already paid an engineer that we worked with before for drawings for the Toledo Fire Hall. Would not exactly the same layout because the requirements are not exactly the same, but some of the same positive or negative pressures and so on are going to be involved because of fumes. After the fact, is there any reason why we shouldn't take a look at that and say, what would it cost to just add 2 more bays onto that and rejig some of the partitions?
That can be one of the options for sure.
Okay. And that's something else we could do after the fact if necessary, if we don't like any of the 3 that we see. Okay, that's good to know. Councillor Renaud?
For the one in Toledo, there's a lot of space, office space.
Yeah.
Meetings, but you don't need that out there. Do you, for a garage, do you, or do you?
Some probably more storage space for parts and so on, I would guess. Some of the same types of things like showers and so on. So I think there's probably more commonality than we realize, but Mr. Metcalf?
Yeah, through you to council, Station 1 is basically very similar as well. It's a mirrored building. Same thing, 6 bays on one side. The office space is configured slightly differently and it is a smaller footprint. We have plans for that building too. So 1 and 3 actually could be compared and to see what building, if you were going to go that route with the redesign of that particular building, you could look at those plans to see what footprint might better serve your needs and be more cost effective as well. So because they are quite similar, they just, one is a little bit smaller and might suit the needs better if you were going to go with using the design that we already have.
Yep, Mr. Metcalf?
As it's been my experience, in past roles, cookie cutter doesn't save you any money. There's still the same amount of engineering that has to go through it. Like, and it may be the exact same consultant doing it, but they still charge you, even though you know, they've done, they have all the mechanics or everything ready, they still charge you the same fees to go through the motions of doing it all, because it's not exactly the same, there will be variation of it. And just to make it fit and from a fire hall to a public works garage, you're still gonna pay the same minimum.
All right, anything further? Okay, so no modifications being proposed?
So one other
Councilor.
question, please.
Yep.
The timeline for the RFP, I'd seen you had a critical path, but what was it again? From the RFP to the bids for the RFP.
I can ask the deputy clerk bring up, because I can't read it on my.
Stage one.
Yeah, sit down. We are, let's scroll down a little bit, all right. The RFP closing would be September 26th. 6 weeks.
And when would you put it out?
August 18th.
Well,
Yeah, this is a fairly long journey. This is similar to the fire hall in terms of, I don't think they'll actually see shovels in the ground until late 26th, 27th. Okay, Councilor Mel.
Just want to make sure that they're okay with the 5 million. There was all kinds of talk back and forth where that number came from, so before you pass it.
And that's why I said, so no modifications.
Well, I got the answer I was looking for.
but from what I understand, this is not a bid for the project. Or it's not a bid for the project. It's basically to design just to a maximum, including all the site services. In their estimate of what it would cost.
Correct.
Yeah.
They have no idea.
Well,
They have a, but that's not what I mean. They can design to a budget, but they don't really know what the bids will come in for the construction.
And you can pick and choose after it comes in, whether you want to remove it, because if they come in at the.
Yeah.
5 million, you can pick and choose maybe things that. Or maybe it comes in at the 3.5, we don't know, the upset of the side. And if they itemize it,
Yeah, then when we go out with the actual RFP for the actual building,
you can.
we will have finished with it
modify
on the
it.
list.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Mr. Noel?
Sorry, your worship, I guess that's what I'm, you know, we're not at the stage of bidding for this job.
No.
Yeah, this is simply getting some designs, and once you have them in front of you, you get a chance to make the choice as to what you want to do and where you want to go. But if you're uncomfortable with 5 million, even at that point, that's your choice, and you don't have to make the decision to go ahead.
All right, so I think we're at the point where we're safe to call a question on issuing the RFP for the designs. So all those in favor? And that carries. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Councilor Brayton, did I miss? I thought you were voting, sorry.
We should have a nice rebuild.
Nice- a nice which? Well, that'll be one of the options. We'll see. Okay, so that finishes with Public Works. And now we're on to fire and emergency services. So this is section 6.4 and 6.4.1 as the sale of the surplus rescue vehicle. The motion is that report FES 25-12 be received. And that the committee recommend, and the committee of the whole recommends to council that surplus rescue vehicle be relisted on govdeals.ca for another 14-day auction cycle, with the reserve bid being placed at $7,000. So mover and seconder for that, please. Moved by Councilor Renault, seconded by Councilor Finley.
Your worship, may I just make one correction?
Yep.
It says committee of the whole, or sorry, committee recommend to council.
Oh, right, yeah, strike that, it's just council does this, yeah. Yep. Surplus, there. Okay, so I believe we have a mover and a seconder that's on the floor at this point. Or did I? Okay, so I need a mover and seconder for this, then please. I thought it was Councilor Renault, Councilor Edie.
Oops, sorry.
Sorry. Okay, so that's motion on the floor. Chief, anything to add?
No, just that we did offer to the high build, the bidder from the last sale, and there was no response. And we have had some interest locally, but I'm just not sure how we go about being fair on that. So
Right.
I think the best fairness is to let it go on auction again, and then if it doesn't sell, then we can come back and have another discussion on how we could do a fair process to have someone buy it locally.
Okay,
Just trying to be fair with everybody, that everybody's had a chance at it, so.
sounds good. Councillor Smith.
Can we put a plow on that thing?
Worth a try.
So through you to the chief, so can you inform these locals to go on?
Absolutely, yeah, and we did the last time too, but I think what happened the last time was they shied away from it because they felt that if they put a bid in that was less than the reserve bid, that they wouldn't have a chance at it.
Oh, I see.
So I think by lowering the reserve bid, that may help get some interest in it as well. So
And I think from our last conversation, this is a vehicle that's not gonna, it's not a high seller right now anyway, it's not something that's usable like a pump.
no, I think that the water trucks are really the ones that people are looking for because they've gotten so expensive to buy, and people that have smaller budgets are obviously trying to still outfit their departments the best they can, and that's where they're the popular trucks.
Hopefully they can find water.
Yeah, still got some so far, so that's good.
Okay, well, thanks.
All right, anybody else? Okay, I'll call the question on that then. All those in favor? Okay, that carries. Thank you. And moving on to 6.4.2, this is the quarterly report from our fire department. So the motion is that report FES-25-13 2025 Q2 be received. A mover and seconder for that, please. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Gano. And so, Chief, I'll let you take it away.
Sure. All right, so like to always start with our mission statement. It hasn't changed, and just, we always review that to make sure that we're still meeting that mission, and I think we are, so we don't need to make a change there. Next slide. So legislation in the quarter, there was not really any significant updates to legislation in this quarter. We're still waiting the new edition of the Ontario Fire Code, which is expected at some point this year. That usually follows the building code, and they're still planning to enact any changes in the January 1st of next year, but we still haven't seen the legislation at this point. At the end of June, sorry, still on that one, yeah, sorry, Laura. At the end of June, we have 1 year remaining to come into compliance with training for all our firefighters, and we're well on track for that. So, and as everyone knows, we updated our establishing regulating bylaw in the second quarter. This is just our current staffing levels as of the end of the quarter. We did lose one firefighter that left because of other moving out of the area for family commitments. And our co-op student Joel completed his second term with us, and we are hopeful that when he becomes 18 and he's able to come back, that he will return at the end of the year as a full-time ROSCO member. So the update from the administration department and CEMC. We were actually compliant this year for Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act of 2024. That's the first time since 2018 that we were deemed to be in full compliance. So that was a lot of work that's been put in over the last couple of years to get us up to compliance in that. All the members on the control group have completed IMS 100 training, with the exception of one person at the end of the quarter. I'm not sure if that's completed now, but and we started, everyone has the app as part of the management, as part of the control group, and the monthly tests have been pushed out, and everyone's been getting back saying that they're getting them, so that's working. It's perfect. And right now we're working on emergency contacts to make sure they're up to date in our emergency management program. Health and safety for the quarter, there were no reportable injuries. Some of our members undertook some tick control measures, killing the grass basically at the Toledo training site, because we did have a few members pick up some ticks out there when they're doing some training. And we had one member that became overheated at a structure fire. They were assessed by EMS. And we just want to highlight that we routinely make an effort to have EMS on scenes of these type of occurrences. And in this instance, EMS was on scene and it worked very well. The member was cared for immediately. And after a rest period, there was no further medical attention required, and they were able to return to active duty during the course of the occurrence. Fire prevention and education, the three refreshment vehicle inspections were done in the quarter. That would be the 3 that are seasonal currently, because the other ones were still on their annual or on their winter time. Public education, requests from local school groups. There was a presentation completed on fire safety. And we've had several occurrences for police assistance regarding encampments. And they've all had successful outcomes. And we attended a couple of the schools, and that picture there you see there, you'll see a few of those people have some nice slick back hair. Well, that's because they're soaking wet, because we actually put the water out for the kids to run through and such, and the members get quite wet at the same time. So next. Training. So as I previously alluded, all of our members have now completed their NFPA 1001 level 1 and 2, which is basic firefighter certification. And with the 2nd level training, we actually helped our neighboring department, Merrickville, train some of their members as well, and they tested with our group at Station 1 in Lynn. And they're with our members in that photograph there. You'll see some Merrickville faces as well as our own members. So that was a nice partnership to have, and it worked really good to get some more experience with neighboring departments that we work with on a regular basis. And we did a lot of auto extrication training in the new area that we have at the Public Works area in Toledo, and we used about 12 vehicles for our spring training this year that we used for various scenarios that give a lot of our members some hands-on time with all the new extrication tools, and we're working on lots of things over the summer. Revenue. So for the quarter, we recovered $31,726.53, and that number includes some outstanding invoices from 2024, and we have outstanding for MTO and insurance invoices for $23,158 on the quarter. And we sold a couple smaller assets for $3,449.33.
Just a quick question before you move away from the slide. So for MTO and insurance invoice, these are ones that we're fairly confident we qualify for, and so the expectation is they will get paid.
Right. So basically, what we've been doing with our policy of the MTO, obviously we bill them when we go on to the 401, because it's a provincially owned land essentially. And the insurance ones are for people that are not residents of the township, so they're not taxpayers in the township. So if they have an incident involving a vehicle, whether it be a fire or a car accident, their insurance companies bill for our services at the same rate that we bill the MTO. So yes, most of those bills are the insurance companies. The recoveries from the insurance actually seem quicker usually than the provinces. A few more hoops usually with the province before we get paid. But yes, that we're expecting those all to be paid.
Okay, great.
Fleet. So again, we just talked about it, the rescue. So we're still working on that, getting it sold. New Rescue 3 is completely outfitted and in service and has attended several activations. And of note, its crew played a crucial role in the rescue of a child who was trapped after a motor vehicle rollover. And the good outcome from that call, the child recovered and did well. Vehicle safeties are ongoing. 2 safeties done in the quarter, and no major issues were found on those vehicles. And all pumpers had their annual pump testing up to for their NFPA compliance. by 911 Mechanics in June, and pump 3 needed a minor repair to the packing of the pump, which has since been completed. Capital projects update. So all the doors that we're doing this year have been completed at station 1 and 2. Security system has been replaced at station 1. And we're still working on the other renovations at station 1, just trying to get the scope of work in budget, because everything is increased in cost over the last couple of years, and it's been a bit of a challenge, but we're still working away and trying to find a contractor that we're happy with and stay within the budget. So we're confident that we'll get there, but it's just taking us a little longer than we thought. And we started to work on replacing some breathing air cylinders that were budgeted for this year. Done it for quote on that. So these are just our responses for the quarter, and our year to date as of the end of June was 143 calls for service. Just a couple of points to consider. There's a current trend that's been developing over the last couple of years that the largest percentage of our calls have been motor vehicle collisions, with 14 in the second quarter and a total of 32 calls for response for MVCs for the year. And the second one is alarm activations and mutual aid requests for our neighbors are very close. And our response volume continues to trend upward compared to the same time in 2024. We were about 20 calls for service ahead at the end of the second quarter from last year. That's just an overview, basic overview of the hours that our members are committing to the fire department and to the township residents. And there's not a lot to say there. And the more we do, the more those hours go up. But and that's all I have. Any questions?
Looking forward for any questions? Don't see any. You must have done a good job.
All right. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Just a casual question. During the summer holidays season, are we short staffed at all, or do people spread out their holidays? Like families like to take time off?
Yeah, it wanes, but we try to keep enough. We try to keep enough staff to sort of override that, right? And the other thing with our responding app, we know who's available and who's not available. I can look at my phone and know right away that I have 6 people that are away that are not available to respond or whatever, what areas they're from. So I can keep an eye on that and make sure that we have enough resources to give coverage.
I mean, that's the thinnest time of year.
But actually, it's funny you say that, but it's the last couple of weeks. I think I've only got 1 or 2 members that aren't available. So it's we do well. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so I'll call a question on receiving the chief's report then. All those in favor? Okay, that carries. Thank you. Thank you very much, Chief. Move on to committee reports. Item 7.1 is the Planning Advisory Committee draft minutes, and we've got 7.2 Committee of Adjustment draft minutes. As is our custom, we'll receive those in a block. So the motion is the following draft committee minutes be received. Planning Advisory Committee minutes dated July 17th, 2025. Committee of Adjustment minutes dated July 24th, 2025. A mover and seconder for that, please. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Brayton. Any questions, concerns with regards to either of those set of minutes? Okay, all those in favor? That carries. Thank you. So there's one coming out of the PAC minutes. That motion is that severance B-42-25 regarding 6447 New Dublin Road, concession 6. Part lots 20 and 21, geographic Elizabethtown, owner of McCann, as detailed in the minutes on pages 1 through 3, be approved. So I'm looking for a mover and seconder for that, please. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Renault. Any discussion? All those in favor? That carries. Thank you. And that moves us on to bylaws. We have, I think a couple. Nope, just one. So the motion is that the mover be granted leave to introduce bylaw number 25-42, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement between the Township of Elizabethtown-Kitley and His Majesty the King and Bride of Ontario, as represented by the Solicitor General, regarding the Mobile Crisis Response Team MCRT Enhancement Grant. If you recall, this is the grant that we are administering on behalf of the OPP because they are not able to receive grants directly. Yes, so the mover be granted leave to introduce that bylaw, and this shall constitute the first and second reading thereof. So mover and seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Brayton, seconded by Councillor Smith. All those in favor? That carries, thank you. And a third reading of that same bylaw. So the motion is that bylaw number 25-42 be given third reading and finally passed, signed, and numbered accordingly. A mover and seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Renault, seconded by Councillor Osterhoff. All those in favor? That carries, thank you. Moving on to correspondence, 2 items here. So the motion is that correspondence item 1 be received and direction given to staff, and that correspondence item 2 be received and filed. So mover and seconder for that, please. Moved by Councillor Downey, seconded by Councillor Eady. So regarding item 9.1, excuse me, this is from the Legion requesting annual support, as they typically do for their publication. So discussion on this item so we can get direction to staff. Councillor Smith.
The discussion I would have is I'm looking at a 1/4 page full color and a 1/10 page full color. And both of them are the same size, but different pricing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's full color business card. That's interesting. Yeah, good catch. No, does staff have any insight on that? I don't imagine so.
It wouldn't, I just want to bring that out, like.
Yep. Okay.
I think we need to at least support the Legion and all the efforts they do. I just want some clarification.
Okay. Councillor Downey, did you have any clarification on that by any chance?
I had no, it was a separate comment.
Okay, I'm not sure that we'll get clarification tonight.
No,
That's
that's fine.
All right, so I didn't see Councillor Downey next and then Councillor Osterhoff. Go ahead, Councillor Downey.
Well, the request comes from command, which is not basically part of our local area. It covers all of Ontario, and I know that we give support through some tax. I think there's a reduction in the Legion taxes. So the township council or the township residents support our local Legion, the one in Toledo, and I feel that this is more of a, it's sort of out there. It's big. It's not really a localized request, and I feel that we should support our local Legion. But as far as Ontario Command goes, I don't think that I would like to support that.
Okay. Councillor Osterhoff.
Yeah, it's interesting and 1/4 page, I think we can assume 1/4 page and like the 1/10 page, it says business card size in brackets. Even though the red numbers beside it indicate, to me, that's just a typo, but we can assume that. A 1/4 page full color and then 1/10 of a page full color business card, B card.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's sizing it too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the business card is probably, I think the red measurements are probably just a typo.
Yes.
A copy paste. Yeah. But that's pretty reasonable.
That wasn't for or against Mr. Downey's point, but he has a good point.
So I don't disagree with you, Councillor Downey, and I don't mean to put you on the spot. You may not have the answer for this. Do you know if our local service members have been recognized in this booklet over the years?
I don't know.
Okay.
No, I'm not sure.
I would suspect they would be. I'm going to assume that the Legion keeps track of those things fairly well. Okay, well.
I know the Ontario Command is it's an overriding body. They have their own bank accounts. They have they're like the Ontario government compared to
right. Okay.
the township government. So our local legions are independent, they raise their own money, they have to take care of their own buildings, they have to stay viable. They're separate.
That's like the feel of the municipal government.
Yeah.
Well, I would agree with Councilor Downing. I mean, I get calls to support the Ontario chief of police or the Ontario fire chief. I would rather give to local than to the provincial group, because that money doesn't come back to the local. So, yeah, I would, if I was gonna give $400 to somebody, I'd rather give it to the Toledo Legion versus giving it to the province.
Okay, fair enough. So is that the direction the council's satisfied with?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess that's a receiving file then. Okay. And item 2 is a letter from the Ministry of the, Minister of the Solicitor General. Any discussion around that one? Okay, fair enough. So I'll call the question then on processing correspondence. All those in favor? Carries, thank you. Okay, and I believe we're going on to information items. Let's get there. Yep. Sorry, Chief, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to make council aware that our Kitley Station 3 Area Association just completed a raffle out there. From a gracious donation from a local resident, I get the name right here, Rob Garvin, donated a flat top grill kit. And the raffle was very successful, and actually all the tickets were sold out, and we drew a winner. He was a local person as well, so it went very well, and it was a good fundraiser that was had by the association. That the money's already sort of planned to spend on upgrading some of our equipment on that new rescue vehicle.
Excellent, great, thank you. Any other information items to be shared tonight? Okay, not seeing any. So I'll move to motions and notices of motion. Does anybody have a notice of motion to issue tonight? Okay, hearing none. Public question period. We do have one brave soul left with us in the public gallery. Do you have any questions for us, sir? Okay, fair enough. Did we receive any questions online, Madam Deputy? All right, fair enough. We have no closed meeting this evening, and so that brings us to our confirmatory bylaw. Motion. No, there's no other meeting this month, and just in case you haven't seen the email yet, we looked at that September with staff holidays and so on. So September's will be September 8th will be the committee of the whole, then a council meeting the following week break, and then the last Monday of the month will be the 7th meeting of September. So they're basically shifted by a week. Okay, so the confirmatory bylaw motion is that bylaw number 25-44 be now read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered accordingly. A mover and seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Brayton, seconded by Councillor Renault. All those in favor? That carries. Thank you. And that brings us to adjournment. Councillor Brayton adjourns the regular council meeting adjourned at 9:32 p.m. to meet again on Monday, September 15th, beginning at 7 p.m. All those in favor? That carries. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.